So no one is an island, and we all need each other. So let's talk about friendships. You know, how, like, relationships in general, but let's start with friendships. So, like, do you feel now that you're 40, you're more needy or more dependent on, like, your tribe, or how? What's the dynamics like?
I mean, I've always been selective. I mean, I know a lot of people, again, due to what I do. I know a lot of people, and people expect that because I know a lot of people that, oh, you'll have so many friends. I mean, I have friends that I know, but I have very few friends that I associate with. Because my brain, I'm very reserved, as you can tell. But my brain can't deal with communicating with so many people at the same time, especially because I am very deep when it comes to friendship. Not that I can't give advice where advice is needed or be there for people, but I can only deal with few people at a time.
So you give a lot of yourself in your friendships, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
And you can't spread yourself too thin and be friends with all and sundry. So because of that, you are selective, to use your words.
Yes.
Is that a 40s thing, or have you always been like that?
I've always been like that.
Okay, and do we share the same thoughts?
I think, I mean, people say I'm a people person, so I think something that people tend to misunderstand when someone says that they're a people person is they feel because you're a people person, you're also deep with everybody. You know, in as much as I like people, in as much as I socialize, of course, you know, it's like Jesus did. You have your inner 3, you have your 12, but he still fed the 5,000, right? So I think in every human being, no matter how much of a people person you are, I still think you have that level of relationship with people. Having said that, I was just saying to the ladies while we're on a bit of a break that for me, I don't like elephants in the room. You know, even if that person is in the 5,000, if I feel there is something that I need to discuss, I will discuss it or I will address it just so that I clear the air. I like to walk into a room and I mean, I do let things go, but I like to walk into a room and just feel like I'm at peace with whatever is around. I wouldn't want somebody to walk in and then I feel awkward. No, that's me. But another thing that I do anyway when it comes to friendships and conflict in friendships, because there will always be conflict. Once you've got a relationship with somebody, even your spouse, your children, whoever, there will always be an issue. But there is a scripture which I can't remember, but it's somewhere in Matthew where it talks about, you know, if somebody offends you or you offend someone, the first thing you do, you call that person one-to-one. You address it. If that doesn't work, you can invite somebody, maybe a counselor, a friend, another friend. You guys can talk to that person. If that doesn't work, this is where you bring the church and you talk about it. If that doesn't work, you've done what you can. You've done your best. And that's where you say, thank you very much. Nice knowing you. I'll be pleasant with you. I'll smile with you. But I think I've tried. I've done what I can to the best of my ability, but I leave you to Jesus. And
So
that's me.
And at that point, you're at peace.
And at that point, I'm at peace,
So
yes.
the way that I see it is like, I feel like we all have an inner circle. And for me, a lot of effort is put into that inner circle,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And so just like Iffy, I think I'm relatively quite deep with my inner circle because growing up, people always said, like, there's something about her, there's something about Uche, like, she thinks she's too nice, she has this atmosphere of I think I'm better than other people. So it's something that I've always struggled with. But it's actually me, I think initially probably being shy, but then it came into, well, if this is how you think I am, maybe I am a little bit. But anyway, so in that inner circle, I think everything you said is right. I would probably play a role of a mediator if two of my friends were not, on good terms. And if somebody, me and a friend, I would definitely work on that. However, outside of that circle, there's like the next layer, right, which is also relatively important. But outside of that second layer, to me, everybody else, I cannot put the energy into trying to fix it. If I've done something to you and you don't like it, I have learned that I have to compartmentalize because I can be a very sensitive person. And so these things will bug me more than it bugs the person. So the only way that I've learned how to deal with it is just to switch off from the person, the situation. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do.
I would add that now being 40, I have friendships that have gone for years. And so I cherish my friendships more because I've spent so many years of my life with these people. My children, and our children grew up together. There's so many memories that have been put together. They're part of my life story. So those people, I cherish them more than I did maybe in my 20s. I didn't take friendships so seriously, but as a 40-year-old, I do cherish the ones that are, per se, my inner circle. I do find that I'm not the social prefect like my Tracy, but I'm also learning to just adapt to, getting to know that there's other people out there, and just to be cordial, to be, I get along. Before, I usually don't even bother. Like, I'd be like, I don't know you, and I'm happy to just stick in my lane, but I'm learning to be more fluid, as I'm getting older, and patient with people.
There was a time I felt like the Holy Spirit was telling me that you cannot, like, all your friends cannot be like you. Because there was a time I was looking around me and everybody looked just like me. So, like, we're not learning from each other. We're all, like, everybody knows, Ada is a very close friend of mine. And I think I've got to the point where she doesn't even have to say what she's going to say. I can already tell you what she's going to say. And I am on the same platform. So how do we, like, reach out to people who might not necessarily be the initial, oh yes, of course we're going to connect, How do we reach out to people who don't look just like us and be friends with them too? Because there's a lot to learn from having a diverse kind of network of friends.
And I think that's a good thing with this environment in the Middle East.
Yes.
We're not very homogenous,
Yes.
are we?
I
So you see lots of different people that you feel like, actually, I really like this friendship that I'm developing with this lady. And then you think, maybe in London or in Lagos, maybe we may not have naturally, moved to each other and become friends. See, the opportunity to break away from homogeneity and have friends from different walks of life. And friendships are important. And I've been using the term my childhood friend quite frequently, and that's just because I'm now old. A friend of mine, very close friend of mine, turned 42 years ago, and we were saying things like we've been friends for almost over 30 years now. And, so you value your friends more. 30 years is a long time of friendship. Things, have happened. I have a friend I call my secret keeper because she's been my friend for 20-something years. So as you grow older, I think, you value that more. And Adugo, you touched on that. And Tracy, you?
Yeah, I think for me, when it comes to people or meeting people, and maybe it comes from being a people person, I tend to keep a very open mind. Like, I can meet, in Nigeria, we'll have, or in Ghana, you have the security guard, and I can have some level of, conversation, or even in my office, the guy that cleans the bathroom. I feel like I try to keep an open mind when I meet people, because I feel like God can use anybody to minister to me. And I feel like the last thing you want to do is, just because, maybe they don't look like me or sound like me, I kind of shut that door.
So I don't think it's a matter of not looking or sounding like you. I think it's you subconsciously trying to protect your peace. Because I've been in environments where you're like, oh my gosh, what did I get myself into? And it's you choosing wisely who you let in. Because if I'm going to be friends with you, I want to feel comfortable sitting and having a discussion about my child, about this, about that, and feeling that you won't judge me.
Not feeling judged.
So it's being selective. And if I sit in an environment where there's new people, I'm sitting thinking, Lord, just direct me to the right person, or let the right person approach me, because I don't want to find myself in a situation where I have to deal with things that I'm not ready to deal with.
But did you find that people will call you snobbish because of that?
Yes, that used to be my name in school. They're like, oh, there goes the snob.
Been there,
snob.
done
But
that.
I just was selective of who.
I think it's something that we just need to clarify. I think I will be selective with my friends. I think that's something that we need to just clarify. I will be selective with people that are in my inner circle. However, if I go to the store, I will be, how do I put it? I will always be intentional about making some kind of connection. Of course, I'm not going to talk to you about, my entire life, and I would not, that's just wrong. But, I will be, there's some kind of intentionality about, okay, I'm with this person, or I've come across this person, whatever. I will smile at you, I will ask how your day is, and even if it's just that, you recognize me. So I always think about it this way, God forbid, you're somewhere, and then the security guard is the only person that can help you. If you've said, so I go through a place in my office, so we have to, it's like a big gate, there's security guards over there. And every morning I try to make an effort to say morning or get their names and know who they are. I'm like, anything happens, these people need to know, they need to recognize this face. And they, they tend to know
but
that,
I think that we're
that's just
mixing
me.
two things together, right? Yeah. Because there's the openness to friendship, and there is like being, the friendly, humility aspect of things.
That's
obviously, like, if you were to talk to my nannies, my drivers, of course I care and love them and have a, they're an important part of my family. But then when we're talking about friendships, I feel like, I could walk into a room with 100 people and connect with one or two people, and I'm okay with that. Whereas I think for a people person like yourself, not only do you connect with them, but you also do such a good job at keeping in touch with them, right? So the relationship doesn't, so for me, if I see you today, hi, how are you, hug, kiss, and that's the end of it. But Tracy would follow up with you and what happened to this and I don't know
not everybody
how
not everybody
but I think I think that's
though.
a grace, and I know that because I've given birth to one child who's like that, and I can't even take credit for the way she is and how my other child, who is nice and cozy and warm and friendly, he's not going to keep asking you about your finger blister from the other day. Some people are just that way, and they have the same 24 hours in the day as the rest of us, but somehow manage to just check up on people, follow up on people, and still have a close circle, and still have the 5,000. It's a grace,
So I think, what year was it, Iffy, when you said that your New Year resolution was that you're going to do better at keeping in touch?
Every year.
She kept in touch for maybe 2 weeks?
Every year. Well, I think, but I think also the word friendship or friend is sometimes misused or used too loosely, and you find that sometimes I may say things like, oh, she's my girl, just because I don't know if friend is too heavy a word sometimes, because a friend is someone who I will speak to, and I can let you see vulnerability. I can let you see me cry. I can let you see me break down. You can see my vision board and it's fine. And I can tell you what my children have done. I can just bring my problems to you, and that is depth. But so to use the word friend, can we talk about how loosely that word is being used, and how when you grow older, do you find that you're being a purist with that word?
Yeah, like I said, my friendships are growing deeper, and I think I spend more energy into going deeper than going broader. I can say hello to people when I go out, but I don't even have the energy to have conversation with them. Tracy and I can go to a party. Tracy would go with everybody and just
social prefect.
So we always refer back to Tracy.
I would say hi to one or two people, but I'm going to sit where I am. If my friend comes, I will sit and just with my friend. But other than that, I'm not making that.
And it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong.
No, it's just a style. It's just a style.
Actually,
I think I'm curious. I will go around that party and say hello to everyone. I just want to know who came or whatever.
Actually, it's linked to personality types.
Yeah, just for me, I would, if I came in, I'd just sit where I am, and who is with me will sit with me, and that's it. I might not do that. I won't do it.
And then they say that personality types, there's always the question of whether it's nature or whether it's nurture, like the way that we've been brought up. And both of them have a role to play, equally have a role to play. So sometimes, right from a young kid, you already know the person that's going to be extroverted. So right now, as an adult, I remember one of my aunties saying to me, Uche, I can't even believe you talk so much, and I don't even talk. But she was like, when you were young, you didn't say a word. You would only talk to your siblings, to your parents. like, well, I'm kind of still like that. So as Adugo said, like, depth means so much to me. I have the same friends that I had since I was a child. Like, it's very difficult for me to add new friends, but it's a prayer point.
But you're getting there.
Yes.
And I think it's all about growing in life, right? And I talk about even when it comes to marriage, and that's why I think God always matches two people that are somewhat different. You know, my husband is very introverted. I, on the other hand, am probably, you know, as they've said, Tracy's social prefect, but hey, I'm more extroverted than he is. Now, I think, like I said, the other day there was a party and I decided, nope, not today, I'm going to stay home. And there's sometimes that he's like, okay, there's a party, okay, I might go. So we're rubbing off of each other. And I think that's where, you know, the becoming one, when the Bible talks about the two becoming one, you know, you take off the, you know, some bits from your partner, he takes some from you, and then you become one. So you know, you're a more balanced person because you've toned down your extrovertiveness and he's toned up his extrovert, and you're now more balanced. So I think it's all about, you know, we're still growing and we're getting to be better and better people. So
When you talk about your marriage, I think Ada and I have had this conversation where sometimes I see my friendships similar to that. Like, they mean not just as much, but it's very close. It bugs me the same way. The priorities are the same way, like spending time together, understanding each other, keeping in touch, like all the things that you have to do with your spouse.
It's life partnerships.
Really?
In a way,
It
like
is.
we're doing life
That's
with your
together.
friends.
And like, you're thinking, well, if we're gonna be friends till death do us part, then we have to put the work into this friendship.
Yes,
so,
definitely. So that's, I mean, we can segue into marriage and like romantic relationships at 40. You know, again, who are you doing life with in terms of friendships, in terms of, you know, marriage and things like that. And do you find that are your marriages any different? Are you mentoring other people in marriages now that you'll be married for longer? Yeah. So, are you feeding into the next generation of couples and godly marriages? If you're not, are you thinking about it? You know, it's something we should be thinking about in terms of impact, making impact. We talked about, you know, impact at 40.
I don't know about mentoring the next generation. Well, I think we've been married for 14 years and we're looking at the next phase of the kids leaving home. And now I just look at my husband and I'm like, what are we supposed to do with ourselves? Like, so, and he keeps on teasing me like, oh, we need to find hobbies, we need to find things that we have to fill up our times with. But I think your mindset changes because now you get to focus on the marriage. You know, before it was kids had priority, we had to do school runs, after school activities, and now you're bringing it back to the center of just it being the two of you. So, you know, I'm at that phase of trying to rekindle, not that it's not been there,
Rekindle.
but trying to rekindle
The emptiness.
You know,
Go ahead.
I would say that after almost 13 years together, my priorities in the marriage have changed. Just myself, I've grown, I've evolved. So who he married 13 years ago is not the same woman. So my needs as 26, 27, when he knew me, are not the same needs I have now. The things that interest me, the things that impress me, or the things I want to do with him now, I wasn't talking about those things then, you know. Then it was more like we're just having fun, we're just going with it. But now our marriage has shifted to the point where we're trying to do things differently. I don't know how to explain it, but
So it's like rediscovering who
discovering
you
each
are,
other.
both of
because
you.
we're both changing. We're both changing, and so it's kind of like trying to get to know each other again and understand this new phase of our marriage. That's it.
And how are you embracing change? Like, how would you say, are you being intentional about this phase?
I'm aware that change is inevitable. Change is part of life. And so you have to just walk through it by faith and just walk with it. You know, praying for your marriage doesn't end. I remember being a single girl and praying to get married, pray. And then now I'm learning that I have to pray to keep my marriage. I have to pray to sustain this marriage. Because if it wasn't God, I wouldn't be, we wouldn't be here today. Like
None of us.
We've had these roller coaster moments, but if it was just God that kept us.
But talking about mentoring other people's marriages, right? So obviously I feel like, we're not at that point yet. But when I moved to the Middle East, I moved by myself, right? So, and at the time, I was like, I can do this. I can live without my husband for a couple of years. Like, I'm Miss Independent, blah, blah, blah. I don't need any, and I did it for a little while. But I saw that the distance does create conflict in a marriage. So it's one thing that I passionately talk to other people about. I don't know anyone who has lived separately from their husband for years and have been able to sustain a solid relationship. It starts to have cracks. So this is one thing that every time I see a couple that do this, I do invest the time in just saying, girl, it's not gonna work. Like, no matter how amazing you think you are, and he's not gonna be able to sleep without you, it's not gonna work.
And it's not God's plan for marriage, for, man and wife to be apart and to be, flung in different countries or different parts of the world. It's not God's plan for even raising children in a marriage. It's unnatural, isn't it?
So I guess for me, as part of my relocation move, the plan was always to move for a year and a bit, or a year and a half, almost 2 years, and then he will join us afterwards. After about a year, I was like, no. I think both of us were like, but people do this all the time. How do they survive? I really couldn't understand how people are married and then they live apart. I just struggled with that. So for me, I would say yes, if you can. I know there's life happens, right? Sometimes, and it just happens that spouses are apart. But for me, I'm like, if you can avoid it, I'd probably say yes, do avoid it. So I tried, but it didn't work.
I think houses should only be apart if there's an end term. You have to do this because you have to study, because you have to, it's 1 year. We're going to put everything we can into just finishing what we need to do and getting back together. But to have an open-ended plan, I don't think it's healthy. The other aspect then of my marriage, which I was going to say, was when I was younger, I feel like I put a lot of energy into trying to be attractive to my husband. I had a whole drawer full of exciting outfits. Today I was midwife, tomorrow I was physician, and then, but today I was like, where is that box?
Just wear your leggings and leggings, tank top, halas. Take me as I am.
There's something I actually want to just talk about here. People always say, when you get married, you have to look nice, you have to do this. But I do wonder sometimes, as a single girl, right, I was very comfortable in my slacks at home. I was comfortable in my T-shirt and my slacks, and I was fine. I didn't, there was no issue. When I went out on a date, I would look nice. And that's when I didn't even do makeup then, but I would, look a little bit nice and go, now you marry me, right? I understand I have to look nice, but do I have to, it's the question, do I have to put so much effort? Because I was me before I got married. I was in my slacks at home. That was what I did, right?
But so they didn't see that side of you, right?
But you're getting married to me. You have to understand that I'm not going to be in high heels throughout the day.
What do you think that this pressure, women put it on themselves?
That's what I'm wondering.
I think my husband likes boo-boo. He likes boo-boos, and he doesn't like makeup.
So
this one is like, what? Like, why red? Why?
No, so they always say, I don't care about this. I don't want the wigs. I want the natural look. But then when you see men that have side chicks, those side chicks are not wearing slippers. But they have tailbone length. What do they call it?
But if you're married to a man who does side chick, you can focus on things like that. I mean, but what I do say is, the day you met me, like the hair was to my waist.
Exactly.
I wasn't like this lipstick.
Exactly.
But he's like, no, I don't like it. Like, you know. So, but then again, I feel women put the pressure on themselves.
I think it's a bit of both. Like, I think that they say they want the natural, but then I just wonder why they keep getting attracted to
You're not in their
the people
minds.
that don't look.
No, most guys.
But then again, like I think maybe a mix of, I don't know.
So
like,
does that mean that I have to be at home in my high heels and my bone straight?
Everybody got time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
no.
I'm like, look, I like to be comfortable in my
But I
in my
mean,
house.
there should be a balance. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
you can't just be dull all
Yes,
the time.
yeah.
Yes.
Once in a
Funk
while,
it up a bit.
you have to
Bring
just
your
put the
midwife
sparkle.
outfit out.
Yeah.
Like keep the outfit.
Yeah, I need to find.
You need to
It's in the
upgrade.
dust. You know, it was buried. I need to dig it up.
I would say that it's both ways, because even the man too, like sometimes like walking out like, okay, what's going on? You know,
What's going on here?
but
Yeah.
there has to be you're at home, for goodness sakes, you have to be comfortable.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
your spouse should appreciate you as you are. But you should also still have moments where you dress up and you
Yeah.
look good and
Yeah.
you appreciate. Even sometimes I'm just like, you know what? It's a weekend. Like on the weekends, I'm a different person. I have a different look. During the week, my work outfits is like, you know, just
A
straight-
different look.
Yes, I'm a different person.
And then there's this
Yes.
look good.
But
A
on the
different look.
weekends, no. Even just for my own confidence, even just for my own, just to have joy. I love myself. I celebrate myself. You know,
Yeah.
I should, you know, and
Feel
that's
good.
the thing. When it does, you know, radiate out. When you love yourself, other people will love
Yeah.
you. You show the love, you know. And so, like, if you dress up and you look good, and your husband will be like, "Oh, you look good," you know. So it
Yeah,
also
make the
comes from
effort,
within.
I think.
But
Yeah.
I have
Effort
seen
counts.
women who, even when they're staying home, they wear coordinated, you know, relaxed, you know, outfits.
Yeah.
Their gym clothes, they take the time to have,
Match the gym
to match the gym clothes. I think, not saying that I do it, but I think that it's possible to be relaxed and still look cute.
nice.
You know, your hair doesn't, because there was a man who
You
said,
don't have to tie the what's that thing?
there was a man who was like, can I just at least not have the bonnet on? I don't want to see that bonnet again.
Yeah, there are ways around these things, and I think it starts from shopping. Like, because I don't know where the frumpy clothes come from. You have to buy it, don't you? So, like, I think it starts from shopping. And
Yeah.
yes, I am coordinated. Like, everything just has to sort of, you know, I like to look nice at home. Because, yeah, people are just going to walk into your living room. Like, you know, and that's also, I just want to, you know, look nice. But I think if I'm, personally, I just always want to smell nice. Cannot be caught on fresh. Like there's bedtime.
Anything can happen at any time.
Like there's just like even at bedtime, just like it's half a second. Just sharp things, you know, like you know.
Was that why you were late today?
I waited for you all. Like
So let me ask you guys a question, and I don't know if this is something we can air or not, but we had a conversation a few days ago, and somebody said they schedule bedtime with their husbands because they feel like sometimes
intimacy or
life,
bedtime?
intimacy.
Okay, fine.
Sometimes life takes over. That you realize that, you know what, weeks
gone a
have gone.
week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the way they're able to combat it, and you know, women, like if you're not mentally there,
Yes,
sometimes
yeah.
it's hard to switch it on.
Yeah.
So from her, she already feels like from on Tuesday morning, like today is the day. I
going
need to
down.
ginger myself.
it goes both
I
ways.
think whatever works, whatever works.
Yeah, whatever works,
Therapists suggest it. You know, some therapists will suggest that, but it goes both ways. Some people find that it's just thinking about that is an aphrodisiac. Like it's Tuesday, you know, like you know. But some other people might feel it's mechanical. Even like during fertility treatment or whatever, you find that if people have to calculate ovulations, sometimes they feel it's mechanical.
Yes.
You know, but then again, that also has another layer of stress because you are targeting something.
Yeah.
But so it goes both ways, you know. But then again, if you find that you're going periods, you know, there are fallow, dry periods without, scheduling, you know, having to schedule that in might mean that it happens, you know.
I think I'd say whatever works. You know, whatever works for you and your spouse, go for it. You have to. If you have to schedule it, schedule it. If you think it's too mechanical, don't schedule it. Whatever works.
Thank you for watching. Join us again on the next episode on Poa Speaks.
Who speaks?
Should we take some pictures?
Let's do it. uh, uh.